Hello, I'm Luke Ford, and I write the website lukeford.net. One of the reasons that I moved to Los Angeles in spring of 1994 was that I wanted to work for Dennis Prager. I wanted to be close to Dennis Prager. He was my hero, still is my hero. I've always had heroes. When I was a kid, it was Winston Churchill or King David or Abraham Lincoln or George Washington. And absolutely, I think Dennis Prager belongs among those great people. He's a great man. And I first met Dennis Prager at a synagogue in Tampa Bay. It was Super Bowl weekend, January 1994. And I drove down with my girlfriend at the time, and it was just a wonderful weekend. It was like nonstop sex and nonstop, Dennis Prager lectures. Life just doesn't get any better than that. And, Dennis remembered me. I'd had a girlfriend who, when we had a falling out, she called Dennis Prager's office to trash me, and so, I had all sorts of people. I think my parents, wrote Dennis Prager saying, how distressed they were with my behavior, and because they knew that he was my hero. So, Dennis Prager was very warm. Meeting him was everything that I hoped it would be. And it was wonderful, and it really touched me. He said that that meeting me made him feel that if for some reason he died, that I'd be able to keep articulating his values, and said some very kind and beautiful things to me, because I was and am absolutely devoted listener to his show. Even though from day one I've always wanted to, argue back, and nothing's changed. I still argue back with him, even though I venerate him. And so I'll say I'll venerate him, and then you'll point out, but on this blog post I criticize him, or you say I trash him. Or, no one ever has one emotion towards somebody. So I respect Dennis Prager, but I have the whole range of human emotions and human reactions to his ideas and to him. And I really hit it off the first time I met Dennis Prager, and he said, if you come to Los Angeles, I might have work for you. And so I corresponded a little bit with his assistant. His name was Mark, and I decided to move out to Los Angeles, and I met with Dennis Prager's assistant, and I started going to Stephen S. Wise Temple, because that's where Dennis Prager went, and on many a Saturday morning Dennis would speak, and pretty much every Sabbath morning Dennis Prager was there, and I got to make a lot of friends, and with people that I had in common with Dennis Prager, and people with whom I shared common values, and that was my community. That was like my family, when here I was in this brand new city, and recovering from a long illness, and still definitely held back by the illness, and struggling to make my way in life. And I kind of formed my world around Dennis Prager and the friends that I had in common. And then I was casting around for a niche, and I decided to write a book on the history of sex in film. And obviously that's not the number one topic that Dennis Prager would want me to write on. And that started the rupture, and eventually I decided I wanted to write on Dennis Prager full time. I wanted to write on his radio show, and have that freedom, and that cost me my friendship with Dennis Prager, and basically everyone that I had in common, that I was friends with Dennis Prager. They could not understand my blogging about Dennis as anything else than greatest betrayal, like a friend who had turned against Dennis Prager. From my perspective, I was just continuing what I'd always done, was arguing with Dennis Prager. I'd call him up on his show and argue with him, and I've always done that. And I just, when I got a real computer and was able to go online on a regular basis, I wanted to argue with Dennis Prager online as well. So that's what I did. For me, it was, I was acting in consonance with the way I'd always acted with Dennis, and that I wanted to, challenge and argue. That's how I relate to people, is by argument. But that's not how I was experienced by Dennis Prager, and all the friends I had in common, and there was a very severe rupture, and I was so distressed by it that I went into therapy for several years, because I'd lost my community, I'd lost my friends, and I had to start all over again. And I'm sure it's equally painful for Dennis Prager. As I said, he must have felt incredibly betrayed. And I remember he often talks about you need to know who your friends are and what their values are. And that way you're less likely to be hurt by them. And how I remember him saying on the radio show that he'd never had a friend betray him. And then after we had our falling out, then I'd hear him say, I had one person who betrayed him. Then the last year or two I've heard him say that he only had two people who betrayed him. I believe the other person was his webmaster that he got into a lawsuit fight with. You can find out the details on my website, lukeford.net. Now, some people would say that that's a classic form of betrayal, delving into Dennis Prager's private life. To me, following up on a lawsuit, it's public document, publicly filed, is absolutely normative journalism and reporting. I remember when I first started writing about Dennis Prager, all his friends that I had, or also my friends, would say, you're going to start digging into his divorce, and you're going to, you're just indulging some, sick voyeuristic impulse. And I haven't really written about his divorce and haven't really delved much into his private life, no more than what he publicly gives over in his lectures and his writings and his radio show, where he's very open about his life. So if he's willing to share parts of his life, for instance, he wrote about in his newsletter Ultimate Issues, he wrote about his second wife's repeated miscarriages, and he put that out there in his newsletter, which had about 10,000 subscribers, and I got attacked for quoting it and republishing that information. I pointed out, hey, Dennis saw fit to put it in his newsletter for 10,000 readers. Why can I not republish that information? So I'm Luke Ford, and I write the website lukeford.net.